Zefiro torna, Zefiro, Zefiro, Zefiro torna, Zefiro, Zefiro, Zefiro torna, torna Zefiro, torna, torna, torna Zefiro, Zefiro torna, e ti so ami accella, l'erba grado, e ti so ami accella, l'erba grado, e ti sciogli
Antonio, ma tu fumi?
No, claro che no. Ho smesso, Santo Padre.
Bravo, bravo.
I'm very happy here today. I am here with the director and actor of Catalina Meets the Pope. It is a wonderful addition to our festival. Very intriguing, very eye-popping colors and themes, and just a really brilliant performance and well written and directed all around. So without further ado, I'll let this lovely duo introduce themselves.
I go first? Yes. Okay, she can get that. That's fine. So hi, and thank you so much, Caterina, for this lovely introduction and for having us in the event. We're very excited. And sorry to not be able to be there. I am Elena Pachner Sarno. I wrote and directed Catalina Meets the Pope, which is a non-realistic portrait of a fraction of the life of Catalina de Erauso, also known as the lieutenant nun. I'll stop here. It won't be very long. This is. Do you want to introduce yourself, or should I do it for you? Tu vuoi fare una piccola introduzione di te stessa?
No.
No. Okay. So Aidi is not fluent in English, so we're Italians. This is an Italian film. Aidi Tamburrino plays Catalina, so the protagonist of the film. And what can I say? She's a marvelous actress, and I feel very lucky that she's in it, and she makes such an amazing job. And also, so we are back together. We're teaming up again to do the next installment, the next chapter of Catalina's story.
Fantastic. How did you two find each other? What was the casting process like? Was it a cold audition, or did you go back from other projects? How did that happen?
I did basically the casting online because it was still COVID time when I started doing the casting. And so I interviewed people, or at least the first 2 interviews online, distance. And I had met Aidi probably about a year prior. We have a very good, very, very, very good friend in common. So we had met before through this friend. So I knew that Aidi was an actress. Aidi is also a theater director. She has been inactive as such for a few years for personal reasons. And so I invited her to be part of the casting, and eventually she was the chosen one.
Beautiful. Maybe you can ask her what her influences are when she acts. Is she like a Meisner performer? What is her process? Yes. How does
Vorrebbe sapere tu che ispirazioni hai, che formazione hai come attrice, come protagonista, a chi...
Io posso dirlo in italiano? Mi traduci
Sì.
tu?
Allora, io ho una formazione legata a, si vuol dire, al teatro surrealista di
She's trained in surrealist theater and Artaud, like for
e,
instance,
e Living Theater.
Living Theater, which is an American group.
Ho lavorato con Eugenio Barba, se è un nome che...
She has worked with Eugenio Barba, who is one of the most influential contemporary references for what we call third theater or physical theater.
E diciamo che come regista teatrale la mia influenza è Beckett con la visione di Garcia Lorca.
There you go. And as a director, her references are Beckett in a Lorcan way, like in a Garcia Lorca way.
E partecipare a Catalina mi ha consentito dal punto di vista della recitazione di trovare un modo di costruire un personaggio in maniera non psicologica, ma visionaria, che è quello che mi interessa.
So she's working in the Catalina project, and as Catalina has allowed her to make a construction of the character, not in a psychological, from a psychological point of view, but from a visionary point of view, which is what she enjoys doing, what she wants to do.
Brilliant.
È stata un'ottima attrice per me.
She would have been a good actress, an excellent actress for herself.
You know, this brings up such a great point. Somebody, and this is, you know, maybe it's kind of off topic, but maybe not. I think it might be interesting too for our audience, you know, to kind of get a feel of what is the world of Italian cinema like right now for you? What do you think the landscape is? Because like I know I have a cousin that says, oh, you know, like only Paul Sorrentino is the only like real Italian director working these days. Or so like what do you say to something like that? What do you feel the landscape is like? Both of you can answer this question since you're both also directors. What do you say to that? What do you think the landscape is right now in Italy for cinema and theater?
Chiedeva com'è il panorama del cinema italiano. We were just
Domanda
talking
di
about that.
riserva. Any question, please?
Do you have another question? Do you have a...
Oh, wow. Ay, ay, ay. You know, I heard like it's Italy's becoming too. I heard somebody else say that's so touristy that instead of making artists now, they're making hotel owners and waiters.
Look, it's obviously it's a complex answer. It's a long and complex answer, but basically, Italian cinema, but also Italian art, I would say in general, is very stagnant. That's our feeling, and even who does make films, it's either the old school, and that they don't necessarily make bad films. They just make the same films they've always made. And the younger generation, like let's say Sorrentino, they make more and more standardized films, I would say, narratively at least. So it's very, what's the opposite of exciting? Very the opposite of exciting. Obviously with exceptions.
Yes.
But,
like yourselves.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Yes, that was my point the whole time.
Yeah. Viva la rivoluzione.
Just discussing how can we apply for funds, saying that we do not fit in the narratives of filmmakers, of Italian filmmakers of the moment, which are the same as always. At the same time, so saying it, but saying it in a way that is not too scary and too original. Yeah, so that we perhaps get some money.
I just see, because like that's interesting. Like I saw like you shot in a castle, your costuming was phenomenal. So I would think there's some, like funding, or if you self-funded, I don't know, but the film again, like, yeah, it's just so eye-popping and the colors are so intriguing. Did you do all the art direction as well? If you want to get into that a bit, like the aesthetic of it. Um,
Yes,
yes.
it is self-funded for the next chapter because it's called the Catalina Project, and it's meant to be 5 short films, which are autonomous from one another, but also in style and in production and in everything. But then in the end, they can also be seen as a whole, as a one film in different chapters. But anyway, so for the next one, we are going to try to get some funding and probably surely do crowdfunding as well. And by the way, we have an Instagram channel which is called Catalina's Project. That's one word, which unfortunately I manage, so I'm very bad with that stuff, so there's not much material. But anyway, going back to your question, I did most of the art design out of the fact that it's self-produced. The castle, which was a stroke of luck, obviously provided a very amazing setting, which didn't need much design. For the costumes, it was a mix of stuff that we had that we put together, but there was a costume designer who stepped in and provided more things and stuff. But yes, mostly it was self-designed or self-conceived, and done with what we could find, with very little. Imagine that the only costumes that we hired were the Swiss guards, the Vatican Swiss guards,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I had in mind 2 Swiss guards, but because of the cost, we only got 1 costume. And then the 2 people who were playing the Swiss guards, exchanged it. And so, in fact, we only have 1 Swiss guard at a time in the thing. So we had to adapt to it. But the general idea that the story is totally timeless. So we're not trying to set it in the 17th century, which is when Catalina actually lived, but to set it in a timeless time, in a timeless era. So it's a bit of the present, the castle is much older than the 17th century. It's a middle-aged, it's a 1100 castle, for example, with a mixture of times as well. So that is meant to be, that is part of the process, part of the idea of these films.
That timelessness, because yes, the
what
theme is
for me is Derek Jarman, which it's English director who's made amazing films, and he adopted this. Is one of the people who adopted this kind of timeless filmmaking. He's made a Shakespeare, and no, not Shakespeare. What's Edward II? That's the other one. Sorry. And which is totally, I mean, the Queen is wearing Chanel tailleur, etc. So that idea, there is electricity in the 1600s in the Caravaggio by Jarman, and so there's electricity in Catalina as well, but it's still the 1600s. I got her directly from this. She's a woman of the past and the present at the same time, and the future, like me.
Yeah, wonderful. What was your, like, in working together, and now you're going to do another another series, so what the dynamic between you two when you're on set, Is it pretty much like it is now? Like you seem like the best of friends. Like what is that like? How do you keep that going? What's the your each other's like little nudges and saying, "Oh, go this way," or "But I want to go that way." What's the dialogue between such a great it seems like this is so destined, this project, and you have such a great chemistry. So what's the dialogue like on set between you two? And this is for both of you. Yes.
Allora, chiedeva se come abbiamo lavorato, com'era la dinamica tra noi due sul set, se eravamo così carine, così amiche come siamo adesso, come sembra.
Non sempre.
No, non sempre.
Non sempre.
Not always.
No, veramente un tempo gioioso.
It was a playful and joyous time.
C'è molto mancato quando è finito. Si è creato veramente un clima di familiare.
Yeah.
E ognuno ha messo il suo pezzetto in grande armonia. Io ho sentito veramente una grande armonia tra di noi.
Yeah, so it has been the set, the working together has been a very joyous time, which we missed a lot after it was over. And we all worked in a sort of we created a very familial environment which we all enjoyed and worked very well together. And I can say I agree with Aidi. Or we're playing the cards, or we're making it all up. But yeah, no, actually we did, and it was very important for me from the onset of this, the group work, collaborative work, and it was a big effort to make sure that this happened, and it did happen, and it's something I am very, very happy about, and to me is already a success in itself. Yes.
Qualche volta ti ho fatto arrabbiare perché non sapevo le battute.
That's not true. That occasionally I got mad because she didn't know the lines, but that's not totally true. Anyway, the encounter with Aidi and the work with Aidi and with Egon and Silvia, which are Egon is he plays the Pope and another character. And Silvia plays the banana cardinal, the yellow cardinal. With all of them, we constructed the characters together. We actually had 3 weekends of rehearsals together because that's what so I come from theater as well, like Aidi, and I come from the same kind of theater, physical theater. So one thing that we worked on was constructing the characters from the outside. So the opposite of psychological, like she was saying before. So from the clothes, from the props, making these people, these things that worked in a certain way, and that construction obviously happened also on set. So that we had as much space as time allowed for improvisation and changes also during the shoot. I love the fact that with them 3 and there was this trust, and I trusted completely that they were doing a great job and that I could let them, take the scene. Which happened, for example, the scene when she's asking for what she's asking for, and the first thing she says, so the Pope says, "What do you want?" And she says, "I want your hat," which he had just tossed away because it's heavy, it's annoying, and so this was in the script, right? But what was not in the script is that when she says, "I want your hat," the Pope just starts laughing crazily, and he can't stop himself, right? It was them. They made that up, and it worked. Also, the dance that she does in the garden, when the plastic surgeon says, "I can give you And she starts doing that little crazy dance. That was Aidi. Well, that was Catalina disguised as Aidi disguised as Catalina, making it up.
Brilliant. Yeah, I was gonna ask is because I know like some directors are like every word has to be exactly the way it is written in the script. You
No,
know,
I play with their minds, so they think they're doing their own thing. They're doing exactly what I wanted.
very Machiavellian of you. Well, it came out brilliantly again. It is such a great movie. It really is, and I'm excited to see the progression. How like so did you write the whole series already, or are you waiting to see how each one develops? Um
Uh, both things.
okay.
So what happened? I've been thinking of this story for many years. So some years ago, I wrote when I was still in Australia. I lived a few years in Australia. Maybe you can hear it in my English. Anyway, I had written at some point a script, which was pretty much the whole story, but very condensed. So in like 15, 16 pages, or at least three-quarters of the story, let's put it this way. And so now what I'm doing is I am extracting 2, 3 pages of that. So one section of Catalina's life, and then I am translating it because I wrote it in English at the time, and expanding it and making it into a longer script of that section. And then also I work with them, and that changes the script also. So yeah, that's pretty much the process that I'm still following as far as writing goes. So some things are pretty much already written, but need adaptation. So I keep adapting my own writing.
It's a fluid process.
Yeah. Some other parts, I have to say, are still pretty much non-existent. Yeah, so it's also part of this project that each chapter, each short film, sort of is in at least in some aspects sort of starting from zero again. I like this, that it's a new process all the time.
Keeps it fresh. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
beautiful,
very.
beautiful. And I don't know, you have a lot on your plate already. Are you doing other things as well? Like I know artists always have to be, doing something. Do you have something else already envisioned? Both of you can answer this question.
Diciamo
Um,
che stiamo lavorando anche ad altri progetti oltre a questo. Yes, always. You're right. I don't even realize I do that, but then I do. Like today, I've been finishing a little script for um, an award that and which is totally separated from Catalina. I'm thinking of other stuff as well, but yeah, not necessarily in production anything, but yes, there are things on the side and on right, left, and center actually.
Io stavo lavorando sul monologo Il teletrasporto è meglio dell'auto, sulla follia della quotidianità.
Heidi is working on a monologue,
Oh.
which is titled Teletransportation is Better Than the Car, which is about the craziness of daily life. Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I always like to ask, what's your advice to filmmakers to try to get, because I feel like a lot of people just look at the obstacles. So like any words of encouragement or advice you could give to people trying to do what you do, I think is always important. And again, both of you can answer.
Se abbiamo qualche consiglio da dare a piccoli filmmakers che pensano sempre in negativo invece hanno dei problemi. Look, I don't really know. What I know is that filmmaking is, well, to me, it is a collaborative art. And so I suffer very much from having to do a lot of stuff on my own, like writing. So you kind of keep in mind that that is only part of the work, and that it is important to constantly seek to collaborate in whichever way, or just having conversations with other people. So even if you feel alone, and that's unavoidable, I think we're not alone. But we're not alone if we constantly look for other people as mirrors, as conversations, and that really makes things happen. And also perhaps the other thing I could say, which particularly applies to me, is to not be in a hurry. Which I know it's easy to say, not so easy to practice.
Right.
It's just like the thing I also just said. But it takes time, and that thing, do not take that time as a waste of time, as a do not victimize yourself because things are not happening the way you want when you think they should be happening. Keep going. Eventually they will happen. Maybe different things than you expected will happen, and that could be for the best. So that's it. It's very wise, but then call people, call your friends, call your mom, call your kids, no, seriously. Even to talk about, in those moments, which is like, God, it's so hard. Yes, it is very hard. It can also be so much fun. So every time you have a moment like that, call someone. And if you think you've got no one to call, you actually do. Think a little bit harder.
Brilliant.
Tu vuoi dire qualcosa a questo
Di avere
proposito?
coraggio. Avere coraggio e lasciar perdere la paura.
Yeah. Be brave and fearless.
Brilliant.
It's easier than you think. It is, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, call your mom. Not if it's one of those moms that says, "Oh my God, no, no, with the helmet, no." If it's that kind of mom, then maybe not. I'll call somebody else. But otherwise, call your mom and say, "Mom, should I be brave?" Yes, go for it.
Awesome. Awesome. I think we're good unless you have any other parting words.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're very happy to be in New York City physically, because we will be in New York City physically. And I was happy. Thank you so much for your words about the film and about our work. And yeah, well, if you like, check out the Instagram at Catalina's project. Maybe not immediately in the near future. And if you want to keep up with the project, and wish us luck, and we wish you luck.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. I'm excited to see the rest of the series. And again, capolavoro, tutte e due. Brave, brave, brave.
Grazie, grazie, grazie. Ciao.
Grazie mille a voi. Grazie.